different social media platforms and who are joining live in classroom, who have been given the VIP class pass to attend this class. And so this camp is the eighth part of the camp and decoding estimation and calculation series. For those of you joining for the first time, which is inspired by a famous chess book by Leonid Nikolaev, which is designed to help test players and master necessary skills. And this, the coach of this camp is Radoslav Gecek. This book has helped him to become the player he is right now. So once again, for those of you joining for the first time, use chat box to interact with the mentor, people inside the classroom, Zoom classroom, chat box to interact with the mentor. Use Q&A box to ask any question, but keep it camp relevant only. Do not ask unnecessary question. If you ask unnecessary question, you'll be thrown out of the class. And for those of you watching this stream for different social media platforms, unfortunately, you have not been given the VIP pass, so that you cannot ask any question, but you can still watch the session. And at the end of the camp, we will be playing a recorded session of Dream Room by Grandmaster R.B. Ramesh. So this camp will extend for a few minutes, 10 to 15 minutes after 3 p.m. as well. So that Dream episode will be played, and there will be a small chess quiz for everyone to participate in. And people doing good will get some prizes as well. So the mentor will be connecting in few minutes. Just give us a moment. And just in case, for those of you who want to learn one-on-one with Coach Rado, you can write to us at support@nurture.com, or you can WhatsApp our WhatsApp helpline number, that is +919953997755. This is a WhatsApp helpline number. Only you can WhatsApp us. No call will be received on this number. So mentor, I'm helping mentor to connect. Have the coach with us. Welcome back, coach. Looking as smart as always, and your students have been waiting. So this day, today we have given some extra passes to few students who requested for the same. And welcome back again. I guess we have a game pending from last camp as well.
Yeah. Now I will look where we finished last time, and I will continue this.
So this once again, what we have just joined the class. The calculation is one of the most important aspect of professional chess players who want to improve their rating really quickly. It has helped Coach Rado attain one GM norm, reach peak rating of 2-4. 85, if I'm correct. And this camp will also help you uh, do the same. So this camp is very interactive. So when coach is asking question, try to calculate and answer. If you are, because those answers, some of those answers will be analyzed. So if you are not answering the question, if you are not analyzing with the coach, so it won't help you much. So you need to be interactive. So people who are not answering, who are given VIP pass and are inside the class, we will remove people from the class and allow people in the waiting room to enter the class. Thank you.
Yes, okay, I see now where we finished last time. So I will insert the board here and one. Okay, here in this position, there is black to move. Okay, and how would you play them? Actually, I see two candidate moves, Rook G1 or Queen G1, but I guess the both of them were not correct, and I want to continue this puzzle today because we didn't have so much time. Okay, of course, I can flip the board. Just wait a moment. Sure. Just submission. Okay, now I flip. Actually, the black is to move. Okay, to make it easier, I will. Okay, actually, no, we looked at one move rook g1 here. The rook g1 here, queen a6. Okay, if okay, only now only not rook takes g2 because after king d3 there is checkmate. But this in case instead of rook takes g2, king g8 is a good move. Now it's draw. The king will just escape here. Okay, here I think here and here I wanna go, and you can defend. Okay, just write the message. Don't put the hand up, but just write a message. Okay, if you have secret questions, then there is chat for private messages. I will also. Somebody is not able to see the screen. Okay, somebody says king g8 now. Okay, we can look at this. Okay, wait, if I don't give you a check, okay, maybe, yeah, I said I will play rook e8. Okay, let's say. How about queen b7? Actually, why? Okay, we can talk about this later, but yes, actually, in case of maybe some of them want private classes or something. Okay, project we will talk about later, but okay, so far let's just then I will ask our students just to focus on the lesson on the puzzle. No, queen g1, we look at this after queen g1. I have queen c3 is made immediately. Meanwhile, I got other recommendation here. That's the move d5. Okay, and yes, actually d5 is correct move. Yes, d5 is correct. Let's play. Let's say let's after d5. Yes, after rook e8. If rook e8, then king g7. Okay, now it's checkmate. If king f3, then rook f1. Okay, king takes f3, rook f1. Queen f2 is also possible. Basically, it's the same. Because if he goes king h2, then I play queen f4. After king h3, I will mate here. And after g3, I will play like this. Queen f2, okay, but yes, this is the same basically. Okay, okay, maybe even better. You're right now. I see queen takes h4. I have. Yeah, okay. Yes, okay, okay. You're right. I. Okay, that's correct. Okay, here rather I was thinking king e2, but then I guess queen f2, king d3, rook d1. Yes, and again endgame will be lost. Okay, so okay, let's go to the main line. I play rook b7, and what do you do now? Okay, here I think queen a6. Yes, okay, now I check. I look what computer says. Yes, actually, he says a4 is the best move, but I don't understand it. After queen a6, he says basically, okay, maybe more human move would be, I don't know, check on b8. If I play queen a6 now, yes, but from the other hand, and now he says bishop takes f3, king takes f3, queen f8. Yes, actually, this is heavy position. I think it's kind of Zugzwang now. He plays a4. He's just doing one waiting move, and yeah, this actually it's not okay. I don't know how to say it's not about that actually. Yes, you played d4, but now you can't do anything. There is no danger for me. Actually, d4 I don't like, right? Because rather you have to keep the pressure here when the king is in the center. You shouldn't close the position. Rook g1, you say yes. Actually, rook g1 is correct now. Rook g1 is fine. Here you are attacking, so yeah, actually Yeah, I'm sorry to say it, but actually, yeah, Rook G1 makes sense, but D4 doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, after Rook G1, I check you. Is there any difference between Rook G1 and Rook A7? You mean Rook H2? Actually, according to computer, Rook H2 is also fine. I don't know, maybe the difference might be that I play King F1 now. Oh yes, I see now. Yes, I know, I looked at with computer. He says now the best thing you can do is check here and Rook G1. Okay, so actually, yeah, there is the difference because if I play King F1, you don't have anything better than coming back and. Okay, then Rook G1. After Rook G1, I check you. King G7. Rook B7. Okay, maybe now I won't ask you anymore. We will just go over. Actually, that all looks logical, right? I just escape. Okay, now. Yes, and yes, the author says black is winning. Actually, yeah, that's possible. Wait, how does it look like? I'm one pawn up now. This is hanging. Okay, here if you will take. Okay, actually, C2 is faster, I guess. Yes, this is losing, because basically black is winning in this puzzle. So don't worry, this everything is correct. Okay, here I have some sidelines. For example, here after king e8, the author says other possibility for white was queen b5, but it doesn't help at all because now I take, and after king e3, I play rook g3, and this is, now you can see this is also, now you just lose the piece. Here I want to mention, maybe some of you were interested why bishop takes f3 now. Now rook g3 doesn't work well because of rook f8, and I think this pawn endgame will be bad for me. Okay, maybe even losing, but if not losing, then at least not winning. Okay, I can see what computer says. Oh, no, computer says it's already +3 for white. So actually no, this is +4. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that will be losing for black. So we can't play this way. Okay, I wanna. Okay, I think that's the same. That's supposing somehow. Okay. Okay, now I see we looked at all lines in this puzzle. So we can go to the next one, right? Okay, white to move. Yeah. Okay. The first recommendation was bishop f5 instead of king takes f7. After bishop f5, I play king h8. True, this is the same actually. Получу. How bishop f7? No, king f7. Okay, that's still mate. Okay, I got one question here. Why not take the bishop, capturing by the king? I think you mean here, right? No, wait. Not so fast. No, it's too fast for me. I got one question. I will try to respond to answer. Okay, um, if now take then just f7. Now you can stop. If you play knight a5, I can just promote the queen, and you don't have the square for your knight. Yeah, somebody asked me why not king takes g6. So now I just want to answer. And okay, now we can look at other lines. Okay, king h8, f7, knight h6. Now you guys tried f8 queen, f8 rook, but you see that didn't work well. Okay, so what do you think? Is it does it mean it's a draw, this position? Yes, f8 bishop only chains. Still. Okay, I think now I play king g8. I will try to escape. Okay, I basically two bishops are winning against the knight. But here I see this bishop f5, and I just show you this book solution, right? Now king f6. King g8, bishop c5, and I have ample variation here. Probably there will be a nice trap somehow. Okay, let's try other move. Knight f3, bishop e4. Knight d2, bishop g7. Oh, this is nice. Now king f7. And whatever he plays, bishop e4, checkmate. Okay, so we are done with this puzzle. Now we will go to the game. I guess I will create other study. I think how many chapters are in this book? I think 64. We start a new game. The Geller was white. Mm. Yeah, black played now bishop d7. Here's one mentioning in the comment that queen e7 queen c7 is more elastic, he says. There's one game of Fiedler against Kasparov. Queen c7, king h1, rook e8, bishop f3, rook b8, g4, knight d7, bishop g2, now b6. Wait, really? How about? Okay, never mind. Bishop g7, queen g4, bishop f8, f5, it takes f5, queen takes f5, knight d e5, knight d5, queen d8, knight b3, knight e7. F4, rook c8, knight d4. G6, C4. with complicated fight, but finally the black finished with a draw. And somehow computer says it's huge advantage for white, like +1 5, +1 6. Okay, I just want to show the sideline. Bishop d7 was in the game, bishop f3, and now black played knight a5, which is inaccuracy. The author says here it should be necessary to play queen c7. He says it's weaker to play knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, bishop c6 because of a5. Here I have after queen c7 we have other line. It's knight b3, knight b3, then b6. He says. He says it's not good to play knight a5 now because and take and queen d2. Let's go to the 12th move. Here his other option queen e2, which then knight takes d4, bishop takes d4 and e5. Here I will extend the variation a bit. Here author says here queen c7 and then a5, and the position is slightly better for white. Okay, that's a bit. Now we had a bit theory. Knight a5, queen e2, queen c7. Okay, and here first question. How would you play now with white? I think b4 is not good because I can take knight on c3. And that's Scheveningen variation. Okay, here I think we won't get queen f2, bishop b6. King h1 you say, and then g4. Actually, I think we don't need king h1 so far. Okay, he played g4 immediately. Now the author says after this energetic move, black starts to have some really problems. Rook fc8, g5, knight e5, knight e8, f5, knight c4, h5, g6, takes g6, f takes g6, queen f2, knight e5. That was the game, but basically knight fc8 was mistake. Here, author says it was necessary to play h6. After g5, takes, f takes, knight h7, h4, knight c4. Okay, and he says black has better chains, but we keep fighting. But what is interesting, computer says it's minus 0.7 for black. So, okay, let's go. Let's go to the game. Knight e5. Knight e5. Okay, here. Author says it was necessary to play knight e5. Knight takes e3 was losing, for example, because of check. h8, queen e7, knight g7, rook f7, rook g8. And now knight takes e6, is winning. Also, it didn't help. It wouldn't help if black would play king h8, because now queen f7, king d8, and now bishop takes g6. Wait. No. No, sorry. I see queen takes f7 was mistake actually, and after queen d8 there is comment, and the black attack, the attack of white disappears now after queen d8. Oh. Okay, Alexander. Okay, now I see your questions. Okay, my name is not Vladislav, it's Radoslav. You can say Rado, like other guys, but okay, I will go back to your lines soon, but so far I will finish these lines here. Now I'm getting many questions. When you look in the chat, you will see. Okay, here I just want to finish. Let me just finish one line. Okay, here the winning move was. Okay, no worry. I just have more patterns. Bishop g6, g6, queen h4, king g8, and rook f7 is winning. Okay, now somebody asked knight takes d6. Where knight takes d6 actually? I don't see. Abraham said knight takes d6. Abraham, knight takes d6. Knight takes d6. But I don't know which moment do you mean. I think I wasn't able to take on d6 in those all lines. Maybe on e6, but it was actually. Mm, okay, I don't know that. Okay, now I will. After h6, oh no, something. What's that? What if f6? Okay, I will. Okay, okay, Alexander, I will respond on your questions. Surely I don't understand these things with knight d6, knight takes d6. Okay, how did? Let me check. How did you say? After h6, if it's not possible to play h4. Okay, I'm afraid maybe it's too slow. Okay, I think after h4. Okay, if I play knight c4, what do you do? Probably g5, right? Yes, actually, and I'll say okay, that might be possible because okay, it looks possible actually. I just showed what author says, and actually this book is for calculation and evaluation, not for the theory of Scheveningen. So, but h6, and he says after h6, h6 was more careful, was better, but and he says, for example, g5. So that means g5 is not absolutely. So there are probably also other moves than g5. Yeah, for example, yeah, also computer doesn't understand here in this position. He says after knight c4 is -0.2, but after I did this move, now he says it's +1.5. So yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, here what I was thinking, yeah, okay, d5. Should I be afraid about d5? Yes, actually, I have nothing against this move now. Actually, it's now when I look at this, what happens, it looks possible. So actually, okay. I will annotate. I can annotate for you. H4 was interesting. Okay, g5, then probably uh, take a knight h7. No, black is to move. Okay, here g5 and no. Yeah, somehow the knight is misplaced. Okay, maybe he could play knight e8 instead of knight h7, but okay. Somebody asked me about move f6. Do you mean now f6 or when? F6 now. I don't like this move because it's everything is close now. Now I play bishop f8. Now you will lose something. There is no attack. You helped me a lot. This pawn is helping me. If I prefer g6 after h4. Okay, if the knight on e8 looks bad, but yeah, like Chant, I guess the knight on h7 wasn't better at all. So it was, I said knight on h7 is misplaced. So okay, now king h7. Okay, here maybe I have some shots, or I don't have any. Probably just g5. No, I think this is bad position. So g6, h6. I think it's too much. And basically, I didn't have other squares for my knight on h78. So okay, here I think h5. Yes, Derek, you are right. I think. Um, yeah, I think okay, h5 or king g2. I don't know. Also, I had moved bishop g4 here. I don't know what the best is, but I think this, no, this position doesn't look good. Um, mm, seems, seems to be lost. Okay, let's go to the game 95. And what do you play now? Okay, I play rook f8. So if you take here, I think okay, here I can take here. I think I won't take here. Maybe I can take here, but I can always play this move. So okay, it's not bishop f4. Okay, good question. Okay, probably. Okay, probably queen c6. Mm. Okay, now I think black is fine. Because, okay, with one queen, you won't mate me with, just with one queen here. Okay, queen takes e7, queen takes b6. Okay, now I think okay, you wanna go here. This is hanging. Okay, I don't know, but I think queen d8 looks logical. Now you are forced to exchange the queens, and I think okay, can you have some tricks? Bishop c6, then rook f7. Probably that wouldn't be good, but I play queen d8, and now I think the attack is over. And now rook f7. You mean? Okay, so firstly I will exchange the queens, and now okay, probably bishop c6. Okay, you have to You have to move your bishop now, bishop g4. Okay, bishop g4, rook e8. Rook f7. Okay, maybe, yeah, okay, maybe b5, but yeah, b5 is interesting actually, but even if I don't want to risk, I have also other moves. King g8 is interesting. Also, I have this. Oh, that looks nice. Here my knight is coming out in a nice way, I think. Okay, here definitely I would prefer black. I think this is. Oh yeah, here. Wait, Alexstrom, you said. Okay, here knight f5. Like you, Alexstrom said. Here rook takes e6. So here I'm not so sure. And here b. Okay, eventually here b5, but again I think too early because you will lose the coordination. Let's say I will take here. Okay, if you take with the bishop, then maybe I take on b5. I can take on e6 with tempo. If you take with the rook, then I can play something like rook c7. Now your bishop is hanging, and I think b5 too, here b5 too early. But so here, but okay, here, yeah, like knight f5 also I think too early because of rook takes e6. Okay, I would. Okay, I think rook e8 was here. Okay, and here, okay, if you exchange, then I take with the rook. Yes, now I wanna play knight f5 in next move. If you play king g1, then maybe rook f8, rook f4 I can try, or maybe rook d8 to take this line. Maybe king g8, king f7, king e7. Okay, I have time. I think here even here black is better. Oh, actually not. Computer doesn't confirm that. Yeah, but at least okay. At least I'm very solid here. Even if computer says that says 0-3 for white. He says that probably because of this knight. But okay, I play king g8, king f7, king e7. And basically, I don't have here weaknesses. Okay, so okay, how did we reach this position? Yes, I think rook d1 is necessary. Is even maybe necessary. Otherwise, I will play rook d4. I will attack you, but and then you take with the bishop after exchange. Okay, I think so. I would say yes, but maybe I don't play rook d8. Maybe I play king g8, king f7, something like that. King e7. Okay, let's go back. Okay, it's not. Okay, here I ask you how to play. How to play with white, and like you see, it's not bishop b6. So Okay, I will give you time. I have to go to washroom. I will be back soon. Yes, knight takes e5. Knight takes e5 is correct response. It was in the game. Rook f8, knight f7. Here I have other line. Okay, maybe without question, because it's just sideline. And here he says knight c4 wasn't helping, because here's bishop takes g6, and after h takes g6, now knight h4. And here I have also other moves. Here, for example, knight f7. After knight f7, again knight h4. After this, bishop takes g6. Here I have such variation. Again, v. To nie chodzi o nic. Basically the same. And white is crashing. Where knight takes g6? Arjun, where do you mean? Ah, okay, you mean in the main line. Now knight takes g6. Well, if I just take back. Okay, I think I won't take your queen. So far, we'll take the knight, and your queen is hanging. You wanna? Okay, bishop f3. You have. Okay. Okay, maybe it's hard to say. Okay, and if I take the queen, what's that? Like, okay, maybe. Okay. I think now knight d5 is interesting. You know, the idea was this, and now rook f7. Okay, actually, okay, maybe that wasn't bad, but knight f7 is maybe better. Okay, I can see what computer says. Yes, he says knight takes g6 is possible, but okay, after knight takes g6, he says it's 1 plus 1 4. After knight f7 is plus 2 8. So okay, basically your move was also possible. Knight f7. Okay, knight takes h5. It was, the author says that was deciding mistake. It was deciding mistake, but if other moves like g takes h5 also were not helping a lot. Okay, now I will ask you guys how to play with white. Yeah, okay, I think again, I'm not sure if that makes it. Okay, now the queen, only that the queen is hanging. Oh, here I see here also. Even the author says very strong was also knight takes g6 now, he says. So here I have also, yeah, I will see what the author says. Yeah, now I noticed that. He says knight takes e7. Yeah, okay, that's good. And after g takes h6, yeah, he says just bishop f3 with huge advantage. Okay, that was okay. It's hard to say. This position looks, I would say, actually, no. Okay, here e5, queen c4. Here I have a chance. Actually, I see. Okay, okay. I use computer support, so he says after queen takes c4, it's even minus plus minus 0 2 here, because I have some activity and okay, rook d1. Now I have time. I can play bishop c6. Actually, here now I would prefer prefer black here. Okay, it's in this position. It's not queen h4. Basically, this check knight h6 was not useful here. You have really something really good here. Here's the move. I can resign after. Yes, 95, 95. And here, now knight h6 is fine. Okay, king g7. That was in the game. If king h8, bishop d4. After bishop f6, here queen takes f6 is winning. This is very nice. And knight g7. This is also, I see this is also checkmate. Queen d4. Rook takes f6, and well, okay, if he takes on f6, then I take with the queen with check. If he plays something like this, then okay. Yes, now black resigned. Okay, here one more chance. It's knight g7. Rook f7. Rook g8. Yeah, and now it's clear. Okay then. Okay, it's white to move. And now it's about strategy. Okay, how would you play with white? Yes, knight b5 is correct. Okay, I think e5 wasn't good. Okay, even if I take with the knight, actually here I don't really understand what was the point behind this move. Okay, I will just show you the solution. Okay, you guys, you did first move correct, knight b5, but here you lost the you don't know what to do. Okay, it's bishop f4 now. Now we first move e5. Okay, now the bishop is closed here. The pawn is still outstanding. Now the square d5 is getting weak. And bishop e3, a6, knight c3, queen b7, knight d5. Yeah, that's what I said. Bishop d8, queen g4, king f8, rook d3, probably with idea rook c3. Yes, exactly. After knight a5, rook dc3, we keep the line. We don't give anything. Here was one more mention. After knight e7, there is wait, really no? Or is it mistake with them? Ah, no, not now. That was earlier. Instead of king f8, knight e7. If knight e7, then knight f6 check. That's here. And after king h8, here I have nice move knight e8, and yeah, black can already resign. Okay, let's see. Let's see the main line. Knight c6. Bishop g5. Okay, if he takes, then I dominate here. I can maybe push my pawns here later in the future. Okay, he doesn't have really good moves. Okay. Computer says h6 is the best. I play queen c1. After rook c8, yes, then I play d4. Okay, actually, and it's huge advantage. So knight e7. After knight e7, rook c7. Yeah, the knight endgame is winning for us. Yes, now you see what if knight e7. Yeah, okay, no. Okay, even if I don't mate now, I have too many pawns and okay, here again he says after bishop takes g5, queen takes g5. Oh, that's okay, that we looked already. Yes, I'm forgetting. Okay, let's see other move. f6, f6, queen e6. Oops. Of course, rook f7. Here I missed one variation. What if king g8? King g8, then bishop f6, and okay, after g6, here I have double attack. Okay, I think I looked at all. Okay, we are done for today then. It's now I see you have next lesson soon, so
Yeah. And we'll see you tomorrow, coach, at the same time. Amazing interaction class. And almost everyone was who were allowed inside the class were interacting, giving answers. Kudos to you, coach, and well done, all the students who are present. So,
okay, good.
so
Then
students are also
Okay, thank you everybody for your coming. See you tomorrow, then we will continue the chapter. Okay,
Yeah.
bye-bye.
Thank you. And guys, as promised, we'll be streaming a live recorded webinar with GMRB Ramesh.
Okay, then.
So stay tuned. And, yeah, bye bye, coach. So, and we will be conducting a live quiz at the end of this recorded webinar. So, this is a recorded webinar, which is not a part of the Dream Room, but some people who buy lifetime license get this webinar access for 1 year. So, we have 20 such recorded webinar part of Dream Room course. So, playing this one now, and at the end of this webinar, there will be a quiz. So, we'll be giving out some gifts to people who do well in the quiz. Just if you can hear the video, just say yes, you can hear the sound. Sound related issue, just I'm checking. So I'm just playing it again. If you can hear it now, and just say yes. So guys, can you hear the sound? Okay, just let me just give me 1 minute. 1 moment.
In this session, we are going to learn how to handle bishop versus knight in endgames. In many places, the bishop is superior to knight, and at other places, the knight is superior to bishop. Now, how do we identify when the bishop is superior to knight and vice versa? So, one thing we need to watch out for is the presence or absence of the central pawns. In the absence of central pawns, the bishop is usually superior to knight, provided both sides have pawn on both flanks of the board. For example, in the position in front of us, we both have queen side and king side pawns, and there are no pawns on the central E and D files. So we can safely say there is good likelihood that the bishop will be better than the knight. So this is a game played between Karpov versus Susan Polgar in 1992 Madrid. So let's see how Karpov handles this position. Now before we get into the game, few other principles we need to know that, as I already mentioned, in the absence of central pawns, and if there are pawns on both king side and the queen side, the bishop is usually superior to knight. Now what happens when there is a central pawn present in the board? Let's say if there is a pawn in the E or D file, and if it is fixed in a particular color, then that particular bishop has the tendency to become a bad bishop. So we need to be careful when we go to endgames that bishops with a central pawn fixed on that particular color have the tendency to become a bad bishop. So we should avoid such endgames or exchange such pawns in the central files where possible. Now, the side with the knight, what they usually try to do is they should try to create a barrier. Now, how do we create a barrier? So let's imagine there is a pawn for black on the square d6 and we have the knight on f6. So the pawn on d6, knight on f6, just imagine white king on d4. Now it cannot proceed further because the squares e5, d5, c5, they are controlled by the d6 pawn and the knight on f6. So this is called a barrier. So the barrier can be created in few other ways. For example, knight f6, pawn d6 with white king on d4, or knight b6, pawn d6 with white king on d4. And similarly, we can have the knight on e7 or c7 with the pawn on d6. In all these cases, the white king d4 cannot go further because it's a barrier created by the knight and the pawn. Now, the side with the knight, what they should usually try to do is try to attack the pawns in opponent's position and make them move to the same color as the bishop. So the more pawns on the same color as the bishop can make the bishop a passive bishop or a bad bishop. So this is one thing which the side with the knight should try to do. Now there is another principle which says the rook and bishop in general is slightly better than a rook and a knight combination. Okay, so this we need to remember, rook and bishop slightly better than rook and knight. Similarly, queen and knight is slightly better than queen and bishop. So these things we need to keep in mind. The other important factor is we should try to retain the rook pawns. The rook pawns, I mean the A pawn and the H pawn. The pawns on the A file or the H file, they play a major role in bishop versus knight or knight versus bishop endgames. Now, why is it so? Usually, the minor pieces, they don't play well against rook pawns. Okay, so if opponent has a pass pawn on the rook file, they to create a pass pawn and create more difficulties for the opponent. So let's go and see what happened in the game. So white has pair of bishop advantage, but as we can see, the bishop on c5 is very active bishop. Okay, so now when I was young, when I heard that two bishops are better than bishop and knight, and whenever I get a double bishop advantage, I take a lot of effort to see that I don't exchange of any of the bishops because I may lose the double bishop advantage. So I will try to win the game having the double bishop till the end, and sometimes that is simply not possible. So one of the advantages of having the double bishop is we have the choice to either exchange one pair of bishop or both the bishops as per the needs of the position. So here Karpov judges that the bishop on c5 is a very active bishop, and if we can trade it off, then the remaining bishop, light colored bishop versus knight, the bishop will be superior to the knight. So that is how he reads the position. So he plays bishop to e3, and after the exchange bishop e3, rook e3, what have we got? We got a bishop versus knight. As you can see, there is a bishop versus knight, and not only that, there are two pawns a6, b5, which are fixed in the same color as our bishop. So they are good targets for our bishop if we can fix them and start attacking them later on. But we should not rush to do that now. Black plays rook of e8. White played rook d1. Now, one important thing we should learn, why is white playing for a draw? By exchanging all pieces. So by which I understood that my understanding at the time was that every exchange takes the game closer to a draw. So the more pieces you exchange, it is like you are playing for a draw. So that was the impression I had when I was a young player. But later, when I started working more on endgames and started studying seriously the games played by positional masters and endgame experts, I realized that exchanging pieces periodically is just another way of playing for a win. It's not playing for a draw. So less pieces on the board does not mean a draw is likely result. So black plays h6, clearing the back rank weakness. White plays a3. So again, you see, whenever you see experienced players playing in simple positions, in quiet positions, you will often see that they are not rushing to do things. Now, whenever I see such positions, the primary thought in my mind would be, can white win such positions if I am playing white? Can I play for a win here? Okay, so basically what I was looking for is how to win the game. Now, this is the wrong approach. Whenever you have some advantage to play for a win, whenever there is an imbalance in the position, then you should understand that it is good enough to play for a win. Whether we can win or not, it's really not the point. Okay, there should be something with which you can play for a win. So what I have learned is, you don't need an advantage to play for a win. All you need is some imbalance in the position. As long as there are some imbalances in the position, both sides can play for a win, and in such situations, the better player or the one who plays better chess will win. So few things we need to play for a win is, one, there should be some imbalance. If both sides have everything symmetrical, same kind of pawn structure, same kind of pieces, then the chances for a draw is higher. But if there is an imbalance, let's say one side has bishop, the other side has a knight, there is already an imbalance. And if the pawns are present on different files, again there is an imbalance. And see, these kind of imbalances, they give more chances for a result in the game. Usually it doesn't end in a draw. And who wins? Usually the better player wins, or the one who plays good chess wins. So you have to teach yourself how to play better chess. You cannot just say, I want an advantage to play for a win. Even if you have an advantage, you can still go ahead and lose a game if you don't play good quality chess. So teach yourself to play good quality chess and just imbalances. That's all we need to play for a win. And how about winning plan? You don't need to worry about it. If you have the capability to keep playing good moves, the plans will flow on its own. So here black took rook e3, queen e3. So more pieces are getting exchanged. And now black plays this ambitious move, knight. We should remember that in the beginning of the webinar, I said queen and knight has the potential to be better than queen and bishop if there is an attack. Okay, so that's what black is hoping to achieve here, somehow to create an attack against the white king, in which case the queen and bishop may find it hard. So one thing white should be considering in this type of positions is to trade off the queens, and then we will reach rook and bishop versus rook and knight. And I already mentioned rook and bishop is slightly better than rook and knight in most endgames. So white plays queen e4. Now when I was young and seeing this game, so the way I used to see chess is by guessing moves. First I will guess the move, and then I will see what the strong player played. So my natural choice was queen d4, but that probably allows knight e5 with knight f3 fork threat and also knight c4 threats. So queen e4, knight e5. Now there is no threat of knight f3 check fork, so it gives time for white to do something else than bishop g2. So what does white's previous two moves do? He played queen e4 and rook d5. So basically he is occupying the central squares. I already mentioned in other webinars that the four central squares, e4, e5, d4, d5, they are the power center, and whoever controls them better will have better chances to gain an advantage. So with queen e4 and rook d5, white is centralizing his pieces. Not only that, usually it's better to have the rook ahead and queen behind. So if we get a chance, we should play more like queen d4 or queen d3, and then we'll have an ideal configuration of rook and queen. So black plays knight c4, and as Tarash said, that all rook and pawn endings are drawn. So the major pieces, they have a tendency to end in a draw if there is not too much imbalance in the pawn structure or in the piece configuration. So bishop c4 is just one simple way to play for a draw if white wants. Of course, Karpov doesn't want to do that. So he plays queen d4. So you see how they reorganize the pieces. Earlier the queen was on e4, rook was on d1, but after 2 moves we have rook d5 and queen d4. So this way of finding ideal squares for our pieces is very important, because you just have very less pieces already, and if they are not placed in the ideal squares, then it's very tough to play for a win. So black, he doesn't have ideal configuration. He has the queen in front and rook behind. So he tries to rearrange them. The rook goes for an open file. And here, rook c5. Now, if the queen moves, we'll simply win a pawn, because after bishop c4, bc4, rook c4, white will win a pawn. So black goes for complications, knight d2. Let us quickly see what can happen after queen moves. Let's say he goes queen b7. Now, instead of trying to win the c4 pawn, which is not possible, because if you take bishop c4, pawn into c4, he is already threatening rook e1 check. Okay? So we cannot win the pawn directly, but we have other alternative b3. Now let's see what happens to the knight. If he takes the pawn, it is caught in the corner, but he is also threatening to play b4. If he plays b4, then the knight will be saved. So we cannot allow that to happen. We play queen b4. The only way to save the knight is to go knight b1. We keep harassing the knight. So it looks like the knight is trapped, but one last trick black can try is rook e4. The point is the squares a3 and d2, they need to be kept under control. Otherwise, the knight will escape either to knight a3 or knight d2. Otherwise, the knight will escape via a3 or d2. So luckily we have the square queen d6, so the knight cannot escape and it is trapped. So we see that queen b7 is not really an option, so he had to go for this trick, knight d2. But as I mentioned already, if there is a material imbalance and you have some positional advantages, then you should be happy with exchange and going to an endgame. And Karpov, being an endgame expert, he doesn't mind going to an endgame where there is some imbalance, and he knows he is very good at it. So after these forcing moves, we reach an endgame. Now, the most important point is we should not allow our opponent's pieces to become active and take up ideal position. So in these type of structures where there is a knight versus bishop, the knight ideally belongs to the central files, that is the E and D file, and which square it should find a safe square on the third rank. So the third rank for black will be E6 or D6, these two squares, E6 or D6, the central files, and usually we have to choose the color which is opposite to the opponent bishop. So he has a white bishop, so D6 will be the ideal square for the knight. So let's just imagine in our mind that the rooks are off the board, black has a knight on D6, and then let's say if he can have a pawn on E5 or C5, then he can erect a barrier. So usually it works, but in this case we have king D4, king D5, the king can still go forward. So white plays rook D7 attacking the knight, and now he should have gone knight B3. The point is to come knight D2 and knight C4, and then if you can even go to an rook and pawn ending, you have better chances to make a draw. But black played knight C6 and white plays rook D6. Now the A6 pawn is giving some problems for black. The knight is attacked. If it goes to B8, it will be completely passive and dead. In any other square, he will simply lose the A and B pawns. So the only way to put up a fight is to exchange the rooks. So black realizes that rook and bishop is better than rook and knight, so he wants to take the rooks off the board. Now when we are facing this situation, if we blindly follow the principle rook and bishop is better than rook and knight, then we will try to keep the rook at any cost. We may come back rook d2, or we may go rook d7, occupy the 7th rank. But now we are going to learn how to play with bishop versus knight. Now if we already know that bishop is superior to knight in certain positions, and if we have an option to reach such positions, then it's easier to take the decision. So Karpov already knows that without the central pawns, and the pawns on both sides of the board, the bishop will be superior to knight, so he doesn't really need the rook to play for a win. So he took rook e6, fe6. Now here, if black manages to get knight to d6 and pawn to e5, then he would have successfully created a barrier. And then white probably should try the route king c3, king b4, king c5. But in the meantime, if black can bring the king to b6 or c6, then he would have a barrier successfully erected. But that is far away from now. It's white to play. And in such positions, you have to realize that you have to activate your king first. Never forget the king in endgame. So brings the king fast towards the center. Yeah, now we reach an important position. How can we proceed further? So whenever we reach a position where our pieces have reached ideal positions, so in this case, white's king on e4 is excellently placed and it cannot go forward after this, beyond this point. And what can we do with the bishop? We can put it on e2 or d3, but it doesn't do anything special from those squares which it is not already doing from f1. You may consider taking the bishop to h3, but with the king on e7 or d6, again it's not going to help much. So in our games, we will always reach positions where our pieces are ideally placed. And then when you reach such positions, then immediately you have two options. One, you can try to relocate your pieces to other squares. For example, if you can take the white king to g6 or b6, try them out. So ideally, if you can relocate your king to b6 on the queen side or c5 or g6, you can try them out, but it's easy to see that that's not going to be possible with the barrier already in place. So knight c6, pawn e6, they are creating a barrier. The king is not able to go forward. And if you cannot relocate your pieces to better squares, then the next thing you have to consider is changing the pawn structure. So by changing the pawn structure, you can create new imbalances in the position. So let's see how white does that. He plays a4. Now in the beginning I said, as far as possible, try to keep the a pawn alive. So here he is giving up the a pawn. So it's kind of contradictory. But that is how it is with most chess principles. The chess principles usually works, let's say 7 or 8 times out of 10, but at 1 or 2 times out of 10, we have to do the exact opposite. So this is one case. So we are playing the move a4 to basically activate the bishop on f1 by giving it a target. Now if black plays ba4, he will simply most likely lose the a pawn, because white is going to play bishop b5 on the next move, and then the a pawn would be in trouble. So black cannot take the pawn, and he cannot also play b4. So he has to support the pawn at any cost. So which means he has to play the move knight a7. Now what does the knight a7 move do? One, it puts the knight in a very passive position, makes it a defensive piece. Not only that, the barrier which the e6 pawn and the knight c6 had created now is broken. So this gives some hope for the white king to get into opponent's position. But if we try to do that directly with king d4, black will simply play king d6 and your king cannot enter. So you have to find some other means. So white played a b5, king and pawn hunting, a b5, king e5, and this position is winning for white. Now how do we understand that this position is winning for white? That is why now in this webinar I am trying to teach you how to play with bishop versus knight, basically endgame. Now some of you might be wondering why I should learn an endgame. Maybe I should be spending my time learning opening or some tactics or calculation. We'll be covering other aspects of middle game because as a coach I have understood, or you can say realized, that knowing endgames well is a very important requirement these Magnus Carlsen. His main strength, you can say, is his endgame technique.
Sorry guys, some internet delay. I will restarting the video again from the point where the video stopped.
C5, then he can erect king to B6 on the queen side, or C5 or G6. You can try them out, but it's easy to see that that's not going to be possible with the barrier already in place. So the choice or an option anymore that I may choose to be lost. So he's probably trying to get the knight to C5. That is the next barrier you can think of. So he wants to play either knight A4 or knight D7 followed by knight C5 check. So we play BB5. We pay attention to what our opponent is doing, stopping on time. So it comes knight D5, stopping us from playing F6. So we attack the knight. Again he goes knight B6. Now again the threat is either knight D7 or knight A4. But here we have a fantastic tactic, that is F6. Okay. Now if he takes the pawn, we play G6. Now with this move order, we promote the G pawn, because even if he goes king E7, we play G7 and the pawn will promote. So in this variation, we can see that white can play for a win here, but the problem is you have to see this idea BB5, bishop C4 and calculate so many variations in advance. And usually how the strong players think is, if that is the only way to win, play for a win in the position, they would find it. But if you can win by simple means, they will prefer to do win by simple means. Now here white wants to play F5, but he doesn't want black to play E5, because if he does that, then we have to calculate that variation. So what Karpov wants to do is, now if he just give a move for black, what can he do? If he plays H5, he will be fixing one more pawn in the color of our bishop. The same goes to G6. We just have to play BD3 and move the king. The G6 pawn will be in trouble. So the king side pawns cannot move. What about the E pawn? If he plays E5, we take F E5. And if he plays B4, we can simply play king D4, king C4. And he cannot move the knight. So Karpov sees that there are no useful moves available for the opponent. Now many times when we get such positions, our thought process will be how I can win this position, or how I can make improvement to my position. And many times what you have to realize is, you already have everything you need to play for a win, and everything opponent needs to create a barrier he has in place. In such cases, what you have to do, just give the move to the opponent in your mind and see if he has a good way to get out of the mess he currently finds in. So Karpov just waits one move, and now the king has to move, because any other move he will lose a pawn. Now he just plays for few moves, reaches the same position as before, but now it is black to play. So he goes back, and finally the widening the field technique. Now the king will gain entry via the square D5. Black cannot play E5 anymore. Earlier the king was on D6, so he can meet F5 with E5. So Karpov waited for the king to go back and then plays F5. Now E5 is not possible. So he waits. Now he wants to play E5. So we take F6, king E6, and now this move. So here black has to decide. Whichever side he goes, our king will enter through the other side. It's called outflanking. So with bishop h3 check, he is asking an important question to black. Whichever side he goes, our king will enter through the other side. So if he goes king e7, we can go king d5, idea king c5, king b6, and he will win the b pawn. So he went king d6, we enter through king f5. And the point is, if he goes king e7, Now, we don't go king e5 immediately. You can try this idea to play king d5, king c5, but unfortunately it gives some counterplay because of this check. When we come here, he gives this check. The point is, if we come king c5, knight d3 check and win the pawn on b2. So you don't have to give this counterplay. So you can, for king e7, you first go king g6. We again play for zugzwang. Black has to play king to f8. Now you just wait one more. The point is, you can go bishop d7 and then try to dominate the knight. The knight cannot move, but he will have king e7 attacking the bishop. Even here, if you want to take the chance, you can play bishop b5, knight b5, king g7 and try to play for a win. But if there is a simple win, it's better to go for a simpler win than complicate things unnecessarily. So after bishop f1, black is in zugzwang. Now what are the moves he has? He cannot move the h pawn, the g pawn or the knight. He will lose a pawn. So the only thing that can move is the king to g8 to defend the g pawn, or he can make a pawn move. Now let's see in both the cases what we can do. If he plays b4, now the square c4 is also available. Now we come back, king f5. Now the point is, if he come king e7, king e5, and in any place knight c6, king d5, he doesn't have knight b4 because the pawn is on b4. So for king e7, king g6, king f8, bishop f1, he can play king g8. But in this case, now we come king f5 and then we go all the way to c5 and win the game. So let's see what happened in the game. Polgar did not play king e7 because she understood that the position is lost anyway. Tried for some activity, but this will just simply lose the pawn. Let's quickly see the end. So white captures the pawn, and now we put black in zugzwang. Now if they play b4, we can play h4, and as we can see, the h pawn, the rook pawn plays a decisive role. I already mentioned that whenever you play bishop versus knight or knight versus bishop endgame, usually the rook pawn plays a decisive role. So we can see that clearly here. So when he goes king e7, we sacrifice the piece and the h pawn cannot be stopped. The knight is too far away. So after king h6, king f6, bishop d7, he cannot play b4 because of h4. And if he tries to go back with the king, again we do the same thing. Now the knight cannot stop pawns on both flanks. A bishop may try to do if we can stop on the same diagonal, but the knight, it's impossible to stop pawns on two different flanks. And there is absolutely no risk for white here. So you just have to advance pawns on the both sides. One of the pawns, either the G or the B pawn, will promote. So that was a fantastic understanding by Karpov. He understood that the bishop is superior to knight, and he agreed to the exchange of bishop with bishop e3. Not only that, he was okay with exchanging the rooks and finally the queen and reach a bishop versus knight endgame, because he knew that without central pawns and pawns on both sides and with an active king, there is always good chance to win.
Thank you guys once again for watching this, and for all those of you who are inside the class, I have shared the quiz in the chat box. So just submit the quiz and let me know when who all have submitted the quiz, so that I can end this class. So has everyone submitted the quiz? Everyone in the class, has everyone submitted the quiz? You please write on chat box if you have submitted. The link is there in the chat box. Okay. Some students want me to send the link again. I'm sending it again. We'll be ending this in 1 minute right now. You have 1 minute to submit the quiz. So thank you. We'll be ending this class now, and we'll see you back tomorrow at the same time. We'll be again playing a recorded session where you'll learn a lot. So in case you have not subscribed to Dream Room, visit nurture.com or write to us at support@nurture.com. I'm just writing our email ID so you can reach out to us, and also our WhatsApp number, so you can reach us directly on our WhatsApp helpline. So our WhatsApp helpline is +91 9953 997755. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining. See you tomorrow. So for those of you watching from different social media platforms, the quiz is only for the classroom attendee who has the VIP access pass. Thank you.